Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Wardle Restorations, and we are once again working on the Esso tank wagon. Now there's a lot going on in this video. I'm not sure how many time lapses and clips of different bits that we've done that I've got, but I'll try and include as much as I can. We now have two new members. We have Adam and Jim. Jim who actually very kindly bought this gazebo for us, which means that we can actually work on some things out here while the elements outside aren't as nice. As you can imagine, the last few videos we've had some lovely warm weather, but winter has well and truly kicked in now, and yeah, it has rained an awful lot over the last couple of weeks. So today's video, yeah, as I say, got lots of updates on the tank wagon. We made huge amounts of progress, and hopefully you guys do enjoy it. If you do enjoy the video, as always, please do hit the thumbs up. Of course, if you want to leave a comment, it really does push the video out in the YouTube algorithm, really helps support the channel as well. So any feedback, as always, please leave it in the comment section. It is much appreciated. And other than that, let's roll the intros and take a look at what we've done on the 14-ton Esso tank wagon. So as you would have seen from those time lapses, we've now got two more metal sheets. These replace the bits that have laminated underneath the curve of the tank where the wooden blocks actually sit on. Now, as you'd have seen in the last episode, we had one that was a little bit short, but with the thanks from the help from Mick in engineering, we managed to get that extended by an extra 25 mil. However, I've seen in the last couple of weeks, I've actually found a company that will post the slightly larger pieces I need, which means I can order them the right size for not too much extra. So we've got these two with one side primed and the other one, so we've only got one left to get hold of now, and then that'll be all four replaced with completely new bits of mild steel. So to get these ready, as you'd have seen in the time lapse, Adam burred all the edges because they were a bit rough, and obviously catching your finger on them it soon split your finger open. He then cleaned up all the oil and things that were on these and warmed them up slightly with a blowtorch or some kind of blowtorch, just to bring it up to a temperature where we could actually prime them without the steel being too cold. So as you see now, all lovely and dried. This paint, this anti-corrosive green primer, dries very, very quickly, as we found when you put it on without thinning it down. And yeah, we just need to flip these over now and do the other side, and then that'll be 3 out of the 4 pieces of metal ready to go. So what we'll do now is we'll jump over back to the tank wagon and continue to take a look at the other bits we've been getting on with. Right, so hopefully you can hear me okay. It is a little bit windy out here and it's very cold as well, but obviously that doesn't affect you guys watching. So what have we got going on over here? So this here is where we had a metal plate. If you remember in the last episode, we removed the metal plate down the far end. Adam has done a great job of removing a lot of the sections of the plate that was here. I've then just come along and tidied up the last bit. All I need to do now for this is get the plasma cutter out and melt out the rivets as I did down that end. As you'll see here, we've got a new piece of wood. This is thanks to Stu, our carpenter at the railway. What he's done, we've got some old sleepers. I think these slightly deeper ones are what are used underneath point work and things like that, but we had a couple here at the railway that I was able to use. And as you'll see, it took him a while because he's had to cut all of the curve down here. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the rest of the ones that we've got for this away, using this one that he's made as a template, give it to a company with some larger machinery, and hopefully they can cut out that curve and do it much quicker without too much effort, so then we can have all 4 back in. All that is left to do with this obviously is to cut out where the metal plate is going to sit, because you've got the rivet holes here. So what we need to do is just cut out a few mil gap underneath, just for the metal plate to slide under the piece of wood. Then obviously we need to we'll give these back to Stu so he can file down the edges here, so we can get the band background, and then one bolt through the top there, and that will be nice and secure in place. Obviously we still need to hammer it in a little bit more so it's just completely snug against the tank. And yeah, that'll be the first new bit of wood that this tank wagon's probably seen for 85 years. So very, very pleased with this. Let us know what you think in the comment section. I think it's a vast improvement, and because the sleeper's sort of weathered as well, it doesn't look too out of place, I don't think. Obviously it needs to be painted and everything. But yeah, really, really pleased with how that's coming along. So as you can see behind me, the new volunteers have been very, very busy. In fact, on Adam's first day here, I gave him the needle gun and said, let's get this tank, this side of the tank, all finished and needle gunned. And he's done the last patches. He's done this whole patch here and the patch just behind the camera over there. We then wire wheeled it, cleaned it up and primed it. So once we get a little bit more warmer weather, if there's any of that left this year, I hope we can get the top coat of black paint on it. And that'll mean that this entire side of the tank has now been needle gunned, primed and painted. So that is a huge, huge milestone moving forwards. You'll also see just below me here the chassis. This is what Jim has been working on. He spent hours, I think he said about 7 hours to do the length of this beam on the chassis. But yeah, we've got as much primed as we actually can. Obviously the weather has stopped us from doing any more. He's also done a large inside section there where the ladder normally sits. So once that's all painted, primed, cleaned and painted, we can then have a look at reinstalling the ladder a little bit further on down the line. So as you can see from this angle here, you may notice that all the brake mechanism has been removed, and that's been the job of the three of us, getting this all stripped down and taken over to the container so we can start cleaning them up, priming and painting. The actual hangers here that protect the brake mechanism, these were taken away. They were shot blasted and powder coated, and they've come back very, very nice. We've just had them back in there as a test fit, and they'll just stay there just to keep them out of the way until we're ready to install the rest of the brake mechanism. But before we actually get round to reinstalling the brake mechanism, we've as a team come up with a plan, and the long and short of it is we're actually going to get a load of sleepers underneath here. We've got 4 20-ton bottle jacks. We're going to jack this up slightly so we can remove the leaf spring here. It's got a couple of leaves that have laminated, and we would like to see if we can either fix them or replace them. It means when the chassis has been raised slightly, we can then move the axles out, which means they can be properly sandblasted, cleaned up, primed and painted before they go back in situ, which means we'll make a proper job of it. And I think in the long run, while it's going to be very time consuming and a lot of effort, in the long run I think it's definitely going to be worth it.
So guys, sorry to interrupt the video here, but I just wanted to let you all know that we have just launched the official Colne Valley Railway Wagon Group Facebook page. I will leave a link to this in the description down below if you want to go over there, hit the thumbs up and give the page a follow. It's basically a more in-depth version of some of the things you'll see on the Wardle Restorations page, and basically me, Jim and Adam will be updating it as and when we have work days, whether we're there as a group or individually. There's lots of photos on there as well, and we're always asking for your guys' help, so if you see anything on there you might be able to help us with or give advice, that would be much appreciated. So yeah, check it out in the description below.
Now the good thing with this wagon is that it's individually braked on both sides, so there's no rod that runs between this brake arm on this side and the arm on the other side. So while the brakes are currently applied on the right hand or the far side of the tank, it means we can strip this side off and clean them up, reinstall it, and then we can work on the other side without having too much to worry about it rolling away or anything. Obviously we could use chocks and stuff, but we're working on one side at the moment, and once we've got this done we can then focus on the other side. So as you see here, that's why the arm is just sat in the middle of nowhere with no purpose at all at the moment. But the bit that sits in where you put the pin through, Adam has stripped this all down from where it's laminated, as you can see on the bracket here. So what we've got to do with this now is obviously take it away, clean it up, prime, paint and reinstall, and then hopefully that'll be looking nice. But obviously we can't do that till we've actually got this spring out. So it's trying to work out with this job, with this project, doing things in the right order. But sometimes you've got to go forwards a step, go back a couple of steps, and forwards, backwards until everything is just right. But yeah, we are slowly chipping away at it, which is good. So on the needle gunning and painting front, as you'll see from this shot here, the top half of this end of the tank has now been needle gunned and primed. Obviously we need some warmer weather before we can actually get any top coat on there. You'll notice as well the metal beam underneath it, that's now had all the wood removed, which means we can get a much better idea of how badly corroded the actual end of the tank is, where it's been sat on the wood for the last 85 years. Now we have got a plan to remove this end bracket, as we'll call it, that holds the pieces of wood against the tank, and we'll go a little bit more into detail about that now.
My name's Adam. I'm a volunteer at Colne Valley Railway working with Ollie on the tank wagon that you see here, and I've been working on this bit up here. So behind this cross member there is a piece of oak that has severely deteriorated beyond any economical repair, so it's got to be replaced. So in order to replace it, because of the curvature of the tank, we need to have a template made and we need to measure it, and the oak needs the curve in it so that it fits snugly up against the tank. In order to do that, we've had to remove the two diagonal pieces that brace the tank. We've still got that there to remove, and then we've got to take this off, this stanchion off. Now it's held on by 16 bolts. I have heated every single one of them except for 4, and I've got the 4 remaining. So in the process of doing that, we'll take all of these out, we'll get the JCB in to hang on to it so that it's secure and doesn't fall on anybody, and then the last remaining 4 I will heat and remove, and then hopefully we can lift that off in one piece. And then once that's done, that will then expose this here that another piece of oak sits behind, and again has a special curve in it to snug the tank. And then we can replace all of this sheet metal here that is just now flaking off. And then while that is off the actual wagon, we will needle gun it, wire wheel it. You can see I've already started bits here, and then it will be primed, and then it will be painted black, and then it would all go back on once all the wood and everything else has been prepared for it. So as I said in a previous video, there was a brace here. You can see the other one there. It's going up from here up to that back end, and the idea was that it would clamp on to the tank and the wood. So in the event of the train actually breaking, that would take the strain of all the weight and all the bitumen wanting to go forward. So we had to get these off because we've got to take that stanchion off. So we did that. It took a lot of heat and a lot of prying, but we got it off in the end. So now what we're left with is this cast iron block of steel, and this is nothing more than just a packing nut or a washer on a much larger scale. So what we need to do, there's this last remaining bolt here that is seized, but once that is done, this entire piece will lift away, and then that can be treated, painted, primed, etc, etc, and then it will expose the remaining bits of the chassis. Unfortunately, it's been stored this side of this end of the wagon, and this side has been stored under a water source. So right now this is basically bonded and welded itself to the chassis, and I'm currently in the process of trying to get it off. To do that, I need to remove the ladder, or be able to move the ladder out of the way, and then I've got a better access to that nut. Once that nut is, or that bolt is free, then that bit should come off a lot easier.
So what I'm just in the middle of doing here, as you've just seen, we've got these metal sheets primed, ready to be top coated, and then eventually, once we've cleaned all the inside out here, installed. I just went around the other side of the tank, just because obviously we've still got the 2 metal sheets on that side. But what I've done here is just measure the distance from the edge of the chassis to where the metal plate starts, and it's 185 mil on both sides. So what we've had to do, I've just got Adam back round here with a bit of power and some tools, just to tighten this up, just to bring the strap back in a little bit, just so I can get the right distance. So once again, 185 mil from the edge of the chassis here. It then means I can now go underneath where the rivets were and mark out the holes that I need to drill out into this metal plate in order for it to sit nicely on top of the chassis. So yeah, that's just one little job. While I'm actually in this area here, when, as you might have seen in one of the earlier time lapses, when Jim was needle gunning and wire wheeling this, what we noticed was the actual original paintwork reappear for, I think it was a tonnage, I think that was on this section here. But it looks funny because as he's cleaning it away one set of paint, the old white lettering is revealing itself underneath. So on that topic, I'm now going to pass you back over to Adam, who's going to just tell you a little bit more about some of the history we found out with thanks to a couple of books that he's got. So I'll pass you over to him now and hopefully explain a little bit better some more things that we found out.
So I've been doing some research into the wagon and the history of this tank wagon, and I've uncovered quite a fascinating story, and the research is still going on, so I'm sure there'll be a few more bits to update you with. But essentially it comprises of 2 different designs. One is the chassis. The chassis was designed by Railway Clearinghouse in the late 1920s as a way to standardise cargo and transport across the whole United Kingdom. It wasn't long before that they'd just adopted GMT as the standard railway time, and then they needed a way to standardise cargo, because if you needed to get your oysters from the port into London, it might need to go on a couple of different railways. They all had different couplings and buffers and different ways of doing things. So the Railway Clearinghouse at the time decided that it all needed to be unified, it all needed to be the same standard, so the same train could go to the same places and there was no arguments and no complications. So they set about designing this chassis, and this is a 10-foot wheelbase chassis designed in the late 1920s, and the idea was that then the buffers, no matter what type of wagon they went with, would fit in the same place, and the coupling eye would fit in the same place, and there were brakes, and this is an unbraked version, and there were all different variants of it. So when the Air Ministry, who can create the requirement for the tank wagons on the advent of the war, when they already had the chassis, they didn't need to think about what they were doing for the chassis. So they took the chassis design from Railway Clearinghouse and they designed a tank, and they come up with the final design, and then they approached various different companies to build, to contract to build the wagon. And this one happened to be number 628, I think it was, or 668, and it was built by GR Turner in July of 1939. So GR Turner would have received the blueprints for the chassis, they would have received the casting templates for the axle boxes, and they would have built it to that specification. And then the wood that you see here would have been the interface between the tank and then the actual chassis. So this is what would have taken the strain of the tank as it was sitting on the chassis.
A particular bit of research that perked our interest was whether there were any more of this batch made by GR Turner in 1939 left in preservation, and in fact there is only one other tank wagon, sister wagon to ours, 1854, located in Bradford. So the fact that out of all the ones that were made by GR Turner, there is only 2 left, meaning ours is somewhat a little bit rarer than we thought.
So guys, that is where we're going to leave it for today's update. Now hopefully you did enjoy the video. Please do make our new volunteers, Jim and Adam, feel very welcome in the comment section down below. As I said, it's the amount of work they've done already. There's no chance I'd have got anywhere near the amount of progress we've made so far without their help. They've got stuck in straight away, getting so many bits, so many smaller parts and sections of the tank wagon done. As I say, just wouldn't have been done by now had I been on my own. But hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Please do hit the thumbs up if you did enjoy. Any feedback, as I say, leave in the comment section down below. And if this is your first time here, please do subscribe, and hopefully we'll be back very soon with another update. So other than that, yeah, I'll see you next time.